Welcome to the Lotus Roche Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. Hello and welcome to the Lotus Roche Ignite Show, where I am bringing inspiration to every nation. So come on in and get in where you're fitting, because I've always got room right around my table for you. That's right. And today I'm in my conference room where we're going to be chopping it up with a phenomenal businessman. He is an entrepreneur. No, he's a serial entrepreneur. And several times when I say that, I say no, and I don't mean Captain Crunch, and I don't mean Fruity Pebbles. He is a serial entrepreneur across so many different planes, and he's here today to help you, help yourself, ignite and take flight, and take control of every area of your life. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest is a producer. He's a director. He's a writer of the film for film and TV. He is a theater guru. If you want to be in theater, this is the man that you want to talk to. This is the man that you want to reach out to. And just maybe he may have a special free training for you. I don't know. You can ask him. So make sure you come on in, get in where you fit in, and also bring your pen and your pad, because he's going to be dropping some quick nuggets. Now, we are only going to be before you for about 30 good minutes. You know why? Because he's on his way out in a short bit of time to work on a play, something that he's got. Like it's expanding. It's coming out tonight, and I'm going to give you a special invite to join them tonight. So make sure you got something great to drink. I've got some tea. Ooh, that lemon tea make me feel so good inside. I hope it do the same thing to you. So as you get ready to ignite and take flight and take control of every area of your life, we're going to bring to you the phenomenal producer, the phenomenal director, the phenomenal filmmaker and moneymaker. And don't forget, note takers are money makers. He's coming to us to share with us some wonderful nuggets. So there's nothing else left to do but bring him on to you. Welcome to the Lotus Roche Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. Well, hello. I have the fantastic man of the hour, my brother, the serial entrepreneur, the filmmaker, director, and the soul shaker and money maker, none other than Mr. Anthony R. Page. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Lotus. Glad to be here.
My pleasure. So, Anthony, I know you are super busy tonight. You've got a wonderful event that's coming, breaking wide open. So we want to get right into it. And before we get right into it, I want to say hello to the wonderful owner of Gimski. Hey, Ida, good to see you. She's coming to us all the way from the Netherlands. Good to see you, Angela Elting from Washington, D.C., and the remarkable Denise Simpson, hers all the way from Chicago. So come on, folks, come on in and get in where you fit in, because I've got a fabulous guest for you today. So Anthony, could you please tell our guests a little bit about who you are and a little bit more about what you do?
Well, I'm a content creator. We create stories for the stage, for film and television. And I produce, I direct, I write, and I act. And I think this is a good time a lot right now, because a lot of people are consuming content. Being in the pandemic, a lot more people are watching TV. And later I'll tell you what we're doing on the live stage, to kind of, fit into the issue of the pandemic, where people are not going to live theater right now. But I'm a filmmaker, television.
Full package is what you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that. That's just an overview. Yeah.
Awesome. So besides being a filmmaker, I know that you're a father. and
Yes.
you love your children. So how do you
Absolutely.
balance it? Because so many people amid the pandemic, they were trying to balance their lives at home because now they're with the children all day and some of them are still working at home. So how do you balance that now? Because you're in Atlanta, Georgia right now, correct?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I have 3 kids total. My two have 2 adults, so they're out on their own, got their families, they're doing their things, and they're thriving. The one I have at home now, it was not much of a transition for us because being the last kid at home, we
Yes.
homeschooled him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He went to school for kind of socialization, but we did so many things to kind of augment his education because we want him to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
The goal for particularly my youngest is not to ever have a job. I want him to take what is in him and build a business from that, whatever that
Right.
looks like. And so we kind of expose him to a lot of things that can help him discover who he is, and over time begin to show him how to develop a business from that. And I'm hoping my life will be a model for him because that's what I'm doing with my life. So I'm not asking him to do something that I'm not doing.
Awesome. And the wonderful thing is that I've known you for a number of years and you've
Mm-hmm.
always been the same. That's always been your motto, to make sure we help our folks from the inside out. And you start from home, and you've always preached that and you've always taught that for as many years as I've known you. I knew you when I was working on my undergrad, and that was some years ago. And we're not going to tell you how long ago it was, but it was some years ago. But you always been empowering people. And you also came on my show that I co-host with Terrence, not Terrence. Why is Terrence Leffers coming to my head? Hey, Terrence, what's going on? But with Kevin Thornton on the Wells Architect Show, you came on a couple of times with the round table with all those magnificent men. You talked about the importance of men having role models and great mentors and how to raise a child within a village. So your message has always been consistent, and I really thank you and appreciate you for that. So I wanted to talk to you today about a couple of things that you've got going on. And if you guys out there like what he's saying, because he is mentoring from the inside out, a lot of our children don't get the mentoring from the inside out. Why? Because some of the parents don't really know how to mentor from the inside out. And that's okay, because we're still growing. And as we grow, we learn and we begin to know. So with that being said, we want to talk to you about a phenomenal thing that you're doing with your business and how you've been in the industry. But let's talk about this first, the commitment. Tonight, you are hosting something called The Commitment. And I want to just take this time to share with folks a little bit about the commitment and what it is. So would you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the commitment is it's about a 20-minute short stage play that we're going to do in a contained studio environment. It'll just be the 3 actors, myself, and 2 crew people. Right. And we can stream it live. Since people are not in a position to go to theater, we thought, okay, here's an opportunity to bring theater to them so they can watch it tonight at 7 p.m. from the comfort of their home.
I love it. I love it. So if you are in the comfort of your home, or if you're working on a job, I highly suggest that you go ahead and check out his new, is it a play? Is it a movie?
It's a play. It's a stage
check out his new stage play. It's called The Commitment. And The Commitment is going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you do some critical thinking about yourself, about your situation, and the situations of other people that you come in contact with, and even that you might be in a relationship with. Because I see 2 wedding bands up there, do I not?
Absolutely. It's about a married couple at their 5th anniversary. They're at a crossroads. They have to determine how they're going to move forward because of some major revelation that comes. I don't want to give away the story, but some major revelation comes that changes the nature of their marriage, and they're trying to figure out how they move forward. So that's what The Commitment is about.
Awesome. And it's going to debut this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we want to make sure that you're there. So if you would, please put the link in the chat for me, and I'll go ahead and make sure our viewers have that link, because so many people are having difficulties within their marriages. And some people who are not married are still having difficulties within their relationships with their loved ones, their children, their jobs. There are so many challenges, and this is going to help you overcome some of your challenges and harness your real power inside to do so.
Okay, super.
All right, fantastic.
I'm sending you the link right now, so all of you people can have it. And thank you for doing this.
And while you're doing that, I want to go ahead and acknowledge a few folks. I've got Emma Jeffrey all the way from Japan. Hey, Emma, good to see you. Tokyo, Japan in the house. Good to see you. I've got Dr. Cheryl Lynn Ivaniski. Good to see you all the way from Canada. Always great to see you. So happy that you're here. And for those of you that haven't yet, go ahead, like, share, and start a watch party. Like, share, and start a watch party. And don't forget to join tonight. It's a free event. You'll get a link to come and check it out. It's going to be tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where my remarkable guest, the director and filmmaker, Mr. Anthony R. Page, has created a wonderful, wonderful play. You're going to love it. It is called The Commitment. So, Anthony, I think we asked, what does commitment really mean to some people? So can you share what commitment really means to some people? And if anyone out there wants to share what commitment means to you, please go ahead and put it down in the chat below.
Well, I think when we're learning about life as kids, particularly elementary school, they tend to promote everything as kind of being black and white, right and wrong. But as I've gotten older, and I'm sure you can relate, that most of life is in the gray areas.
No, I can't. What you mean older?
Well, I'm just saying, well, you're more than 12. How about that? But most of life is in the gray areas, and you have to figure out the nuance of relationships and nuance of decision making and all of that kind of thing. So that's what the commitment is about. It's making decisions, life, love, business, your spiritual growth, everything. When you don't know all of the answers, when you don't have all the information, etc.
Right.
It's faith comes into it, your character comes into it, your principles for living come into it. So all of that in many different ways you'll see reflected in this stage play tonight.
Awesome.
Yes, it's centered around their commitment, but as we get into it, you'll see that there's a larger narrative that's also going on about who they are as individuals and how they approach life.
All right, fantastic. So quick hello to Phyllis M. Weaver, phenomenal coach out of North Carolina. Again, thank you, Angie. She said it sounds like fun. Sounds like fun, and I'm confident that it's going to be fun. Milton Gore, all the way out of North Carolina. Hey, right back to you. Happy to have you here. And be sure to like, share, and start a watch party. And if you don't have your notepad, go ahead and get it. We're going to be on for a short while. But note takers are money makers. And I've got a phenomenal guest with me here today that's going to give you some nuggets to help you improve and get your communication and your connections and all of those things right, so you can be true to your commitment. So what inspired you to write the play?
Well, what inspired me to write overall, I started back in 1993 as an actor. I just told how old I was, right? And the first 10 years of my career in this business, I was an actor going after auditions and training. I started training at the Alliance Theater acting program here in Atlanta, went to Georgia State University, got a theater degree, etc. Just learning, constantly learning and training and going on auditions and, a few commercials here, a few little bit parts here and there. But I wasn't getting the roles that I thought really utilized my talent. Right. Because in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of film activity in Atlanta or theater. It was more of a music town. You know, you had
Yeah.
Outkast and LaFace Records and Usher and people like that. But the film industry hasn't grown as robust as it is today. So I realized that, you know, I can take matters into my own hand, and I begin to write stories that, you know, okay, what kind of roles do I want to play? And I start writing them. Out of that, I had to learn how to direct. Out of that, I had to learn how to produce. So it was like necessity was the mother of my invention. You know, this is what I want. So I got to figure out a way to kind of build an infrastructure to get to what I want.
Right. And you know what I've always loved about you is that you've always, if you couldn't find it, you built it. You made it happen. I remember the theater that you created down on Broad Street, or was that Broad
Absolutely.
Street?
Broad Street, downtown Augusta,
Georgia. I never forgot that. You were phenomenal then, and you have become increasingly phenomenal now with your plays and all that you do. And I got to tell you, folks, if you've never been to one of his plays, if you've never seen a piece of creation from him, you definitely want to see the commitment, because I'm telling you, it's going to cause you to rethink what you think about. So with that being said, make sure you go there tonight and you check it out, and we're going to show you just how to do that. So I wanted to also ask you, because you've always had so much drive, how long you've been in the industry, but you've kind of shared how long you've been in the industry. But this is the primary reason why I'm asking you this, is because so many people are in the industry for so long and they never make it. But I've never seen you give up. And I know that there must have been some tough times or some downtimes. Can you tell us a little bit about the downtimes and how you got through it?
Right. I think with anything, you got to be committed. I think if you have a plan B, you will use it. And from 93 roughly to 2008, I had a plan B. I could always go to that job, and the job took most of my time. But March 6, 2008, I left my job. I left my full-time job, and I've been doing this full-time because I would put 60, 70 hours a week on a job, and then what was left, I would put into my career. So my number one passion was getting the leftovers of my life, of my time. And I didn't realize it was then. I'm like, oh, I need to pay these bills and I need to da-da-da-da-da. But, you know, all that time I wasn't making any real progress because I wasn't giving my truest gift, my truest talent, my true passion, the best of me. And that was one of the biggest lessons of my life. And let me extrapolate on that just a little bit. I would go tell, I had a mentor, and I would tell him that, you know, 1, 2, and 3 were my priorities, right?
Right.
But, you know, if you rank them like 1, this is my number 1 priority, this is my number 2 priority, this is my number 3 priority. That's what I said.
Right.
But time-wise, I spent most of my time on 4, 5, and 6. So he said, no matter what you say, he said, truly, because where you put your time tells me a lot about what your priorities are. So he said, actually, number 4 is actually your number 1 priority. I was like, no. I was giving lip service to 1 being my number 1 priority. But 1 was actually 4. And I was like, big lesson.
Wow.
Big lesson.
It's huge, because what I'm also hearing you say is that you really got to be clear about what you say you're clear about, because sometimes even in that moment there's still a fogginess, there's a lot of ambiguities, and because of that we're really not going in the direction that we are supposed to be going, because we've made somebody else's job or somebody else's desire for millions, because typically that's what we're doing. We're creating millions for other people instead of creating millions for us, because like Robert Kiyosaki said, we're trading time for dollars. There is no pipeline. The pipeline that we're funneling into is for somebody else's business, for a lot of the large corporations, instead of funneling that time into ourselves. And you know what? And I've heard you say this to other people before. If they can do that for a corporation, they can do it for themselves.
Absolutely.
But this is what I also heard you say. You stepped out on faith. How hard was that?
That was the biggest thing. I knew I had the talent. I did not know. So from 2000,
Mhm.
So from 2008,
Yes.
from 2008 to 2011, I'll be candid with you. I got my behind handed to me
Yes.
because I knew I had the talent, but I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. It was a lifestyle shift because I
Yes.
would put 70, 60, 70, 80 hours in of work and get a check. I put the work and get a check. I put the work and get a check. That had been my pattern since I started working. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, it
Yes.
doesn't work that way
Right.
because you can
Right.
put the 80 hours in and get nothing out. You have to learn how to focus on the right things. What are the things that are going to pay me? What do I need to focus on first? What truly is the number one priority? And then I had no infrastructure. Okay, you got this talent, but it's not standing on anything. Where's your infrastructure? Where's your
Wow.
foundation? So I had to build all of those things. I had to learn how to be an entrepreneur. Because coming out of corporate, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I got these degrees and I've worked in business and blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. No, coming out of corporate doesn't translate to being an entrepreneur.
No.
It's a whole nother lifestyle shift. And if somebody who hasn't done it, don't listen to them.
Exactly.
I'm telling you,
Exactly.
you don't know until you actually walk that walk.
Exactly.
It is my whole lifestyle had to shift.
Yes, I concur.
Because I don't get paid like every 2 weeks like the average person.
Yes.
If my business is doing well, I can get 3 checks in one day, and then I may not get another check for 3 months.
Exactly.
That's the nature of my work. So like I said, it's a whole nother style of living.
So it's getting juicy, folks, and we're going to be leaving you soon. So you better take some notes. I want to ask all of you, does what he's saying resonate with you? Have you experienced the same thing where you thought what you was focusing on, what you said was your real dream, you found out that it was not your number one priority, and that's why you were going nowhere fast? If you resonate with that, put a number 1 in the comment below, because so many people resonate with that, and they look up 20 years later and they're still in the same position that way they were 20 years earlier. But this is the problem. 20 years later, they've gained a lot more weight. 20 years later, they can't do all the things that they used to do when they were so viral and so full of life and so full of ideas, because time passed them by, because they didn't have somebody to identify for them what the real was really all about. And like my good friend Charles Marcus says all the time, that success, it's not a spectator sport. You have really got to get on the playing field of life. And so if you like what he said, and you are really playing now on the field of life and not standing on the sidelines, put a number 3. I didn't say 2, a number 3. I want to make sure you're listening. Put a number 3 in the comment below. So I see so many more people joining us, and I want to go ahead and acknowledge everyone that I can. Hey, good to see you, Juva. Thanks for being here. Happy to have you here. Yeah, I'm happy you're looking forward to it too, because it's going to be focus on helping you help yourself ignite and take flight. I'm telling you. And Phyllis said, absolutely. Focus on the right things is key. And yes, that is unequivocal. And Rod, hey Rod, good to see you. Please let us know where you're coming in from, folks. As you come on in and get in where you fit in, because you always have room right here around my table for you. And some folks, Tabello, I see you. How you doing, Tabello? Where are you coming in from? Let us know, please. Want to see you. And we have Andrew McAllister. Hey, Andrew McAllister, good to see you. Let us know where you're coming in from. And the phenomenal ventriloquist herself, I've got to have her back on the show. You guys are going to love her. She's going to knock your socks off. Miss Tawana Kelly and her ventriloquist gal pal, Joy, they're going to be coming back on the show really soon. So good to see each and every one of you on here. So happy to have you. Thank you, Ida. We love you. Happy to have you here. Nadine, good to see you. And so many of you are streaming in. If you haven't shared, liked, and sent or started a watch party, please do so right now. Why? Because we're talking to the remarkable playwright. He's a director. He's a filmmaker. And he has a new play that's coming out. He's going to share it with us tonight. Why? Because it's phenomenal, and it's going to make you think a lot different about what you're thinking about And know this, when you change what you think about changes. So he's going to bring us some information on his play tonight called The Commitment. So Anthony, I know we're getting to the bottom, the very bottom of the interview. So let me ask you another question. And then guess if you have a question of Anthony R. Page, go ahead and put it in the comment and I'll pull it up and you can ask that question. So Anthony, I've got one more question for you. I gotta say that so many people look at you today and say, wow, how did he make it? How did he, he stepped out on faith. He's really the full package now. And he's been through so much hardship, but he's leveraged his time, but he's not settling. And that's what you said. You said to us that are here with you today, you told us don't settle for the leftovers of life. So how can we not settle for the leftovers of life?
One of my prayers is, I said, okay, God, I want to be the man you created me to be. That's a big motivator for me. And then in my spirit tells me to move one way. And I found when I went a different way, I wasn't happy. So I've learned to come in line with the spirit first and foremost, finding that spiritual center, because that's the basis of all my decision making. Where I lacked, I didn't have the faith because I was such a nut and bolt practical kind of guy.
Right.
I couldn't move into my greatness because I was afraid. Fear kept me from moving out there for so many different years. But the spirit also kind of help you refine your approach on life because again, I didn't have the discernment.
Exactly.
For example, one of the things I did early on, when I transitioned into being a full-time entrepreneur, I equated activity with progress. And I call it now being busy and broke. Just because I'm doing a lot of things doesn't mean I'm making progress toward the things that are truly important. So again, you learn how to prioritize. And again, that spirit of discernment, knowing what to focus on, because as an entrepreneur, you got 1,000 things to deal with. So what is first? Right. And focusing on the things that should be a priority and dealing with the things that, should stay at the top of the list is something that I had to learn. And again, that spiritual discernment helps me with that. So my lifestyle, when I get up typically around 4 or 5 in the morning, I'm having my coffee. I have that time with God. First and foremost, I just kind of set my day and I just sit out, listen to the birds and just kind of sup with God first. And that sets the tone for my day. When I do that, my days tend to work a lot better. So now that's become a pattern for me. But do not be busy and broke just because you're busy doing a lot of stuff and thinking you're making progress. No, you look back. Are the choices you're making moving closer to any strategic goal or milestone that you've set for yourself? So now that when I'm making decisions, this activity may seem random to people, but I'm clear about how it feeds into that ultimate goal that I'm aiming for.
Awesome. I love it. And one thing that I heard you say is that it's important that we be clear about what it is that we're searching for, what our why is. And I tell people this all the time. You have to, your why has to be stronger than your why not. And sometimes people say, what do you mean, Lotus, your why has to be stronger than your why not? Well, what I mean is this. Oftentimes, and you know this too, brother, because a lot of people reach out to you to get you to be a part of this and that and this and that. And a lot of times when people even reach out to me and say, hey, Lotus, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you be a part of this? I have to look at my why. Because a lot of times when people ask us to do things, especially givers, the first thing we ask ourselves is, well, why not? Why can't I do it? Sure, I can do it. Instead of saying, is my why bigger than my why not? And that's where we get that clarity, because we have to understand. If we don't understand our why, if we let our why not be greater than our why, then we're going to constantly be doing other things that's going to move us out of our why and into our why not?
Well, I'll say this, the biggest why for me, outside of the relationship I have with my God, the God that I know, I'm a Christian. And so that guides everything that I do. But also I'm thinking about my son, and what I want them to see. Like I said, particularly my son, he's 10, my youngest is 10 years old. I don't want him to ever have a job. Not that I want him to be lazy and not have a job. I want him to take what's in him and build a business from that.
Right.
That's what I want my legacy to be, because I want to move my generation from being employees to employers. That's the goal for me. I want for generations, because you can see it with with so many people who they took the hits, they made the choices, and it changed the course of their family. We think about a Rockefeller or a Carnegie, or even modern, the Wayans family, or Will Smith, or Puff Daddy. Even Denzel, we're seeing second generation Denzel now. His kids are coming out and doing different things. That's exactly what I would like. Regardless of whatever my son would like to do with his life, I want him to know that he has enough in him to steward his own vision in life, and hopefully the example that I have through my life that he can see is like, oh, you know what? It was hard, but my dad did it, so I know I can too.
Exactly. And you know what I love that you shared is that you looked at what your son wants to do. You didn't try to superimpose your own will on him. And I love that, because a lot of times we try to superimpose our will on our children, or we try to live vicariously through our children. And of course, we know that's not right. So with that being said, I want to thank so many of you. We're at the bottom of the interview. I don't say at the top, because we've been getting down to the nitty gritty. And if you love what he's talking about, if you love what he's saying, go ahead and put a 4 in the comment below. Put a 4 in the comment below, because he's on his way to the theater and he's got to go. So
I got a few minutes if you want to ask a few more questions.
Wonderful. I just didn't want you to be late, because I know you're such a hard worker and you're always doing so much, but you're always so gracious with your time. And I always like to respect people's time. So yes, we've got a couple of questions. So go ahead. I'll give those of you with other questions, go ahead, put them in the comment below. But I also want to take a remark from Rod. Rod says, spirit of discernment. God let us the Holy Spirit, putting him first. I'm proud Anthony prioritized what may have felt uncomfortable, got it done to achieve a God-given success. Is there a moment where the light bulb came on?
Not instantly. It wasn't like you hit a switch and the light came on. It was more of an evolution. It's like a cake rising, but my cake kind of rose over a number of years.
Yes.
It was an evolution because, again, my family they're hard workers. They will work you under the table. We're from South Carolina. We get up and we work. That's our culture. We don't believe in days off. So it's like, that's my mom's sisters and brothers and my uncles. They got up and they got at it. I knew how to do that. But I didn't know how to operate a business. I didn't know what that was. I didn't have those examples. So I had to hit the brick wall 1,000 times and figure out, okay, don't do that again. Wow, don't do that again. So the light bulb coming off was over a period of time. But, I will say, and Rod was one of those, because he remembered, because at one point, even with, I think at the time I had 4 undergraduate degrees and an MBA, I was cutting grass. And Rod Bayless was one of my clients. I was doing some work in his yard, because I didn't want to go back to a full-time job. I said, you know what? I'm determined. I'm not going to give up. I could have put a resume out there, went and got a job, but I said, nope, I'm going to make this work, because cutting grass gave me the flexibility to put the maximum amount of time into this.
And you know what?
I thank God for that. I mean, there are many days I wanted to give up, but I'll say this real quick. Working in 80, 90 degree heat was a motivator for me. I said, you know what? I don't want to. I can't do this forever. So let me get A right. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing B.
Yes.
So I grind. That heat, that struggle, that backbreaking work motivated me to make sure I got A right, doing these little side jobs and stuff like that. So, Yeah, so like I said, to answer the question, it wasn't just like an instant, I got it. It was a series of little moments over many years,
Yes.
just series of little breakthroughs.
And
I
I
didn't
love
have a, quote unquote Damascus Road experience where it's like,
right.
boom, and my hair goes gray. And no, it was
Yes.
an evolution over a period of time.
And I love what Angela said, and thank you for answering that question. Angela said, continue to assess your progress until completion. Sometimes you may have to revise where necessary. And that's unequivocal, because this is the thing. When you have your goal, the goal doesn't change. And this is a shout out to Precious Killer Pitch Williams, because I had a conversation with her the other day and we were talking. And if you don't know Precious Killer Pitch Williams, you need to know her. She is like phenomenal, helping women create their killer pitch. She's been on Shark Tank. She's spoken all over the world. And this is something she and I talked about. The goal should not change. If you set your goal, keep your goal, but your strategy might have to change. How you get to that goal. When COVID hit, you might have been on target for having several shows open up because you and I were talking. But guess what? COVID hit, so you had to change the strategy to get to where you're going. Now you're going virtual, but the goal has not changed. So I invite each and every one of you, don't change your goal, just change your strategy. And if you like what he said, if you like what I said, that's right, I said Mr. Page himself, the phenomenal filmmaker. If you like what Mr. Page has said, if you like what I said, if you like vicariously through me what Miss Killer Pitch herself, Precious, is saying, put a number 5 in the comment below, because it's unequivocal. You've got to change your strategy if situations change. You can't lay down.
And if I may,
yes,
if
please.
I may say one other thing, how biblical principles tend to be the number one guider of my life, because they're durable, they're eternal.
Yes.
And I think about Jesus. The last thing that he said when he was on the cross is, "It is done."
It is done.
Let me show you the metaphor. So much of my lack of success is because I didn't finish. It got hard. I put 90% of the work and saw zero output.
Yes.
It was that last 10%. It's no good until it's finished. So I had to work on finishing, no matter how hard it got, no matter what the sacrifice, the struggle, the ways that I had to grow, evolve, humble myself, whatever. I had to finish, because I had so many projects out there that just stalled. I mean, we put 90% of it in there and nothing, but it was that last 10% that made the difference. As I said, you know what? Whatever you decide to move on, just finish it. Let the result be left up to God, but you finish it. So when I start a project, my goal is let's get through it. Maybe not always gracefully, but we're going to walk all the way across that finish line, or crawl or drag ourselves, but we're going to get across that finish line. That was big for me, because early on, when the going got tough, it was easy to say, you know what, forget it and let's start over.
Yes.
Forget it, let's start over. Forget it, let's start over. So you see what I mean?
Yes.
We kept going back to square one because it got hard.
And do it till you finish. I love the message. Even in the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how people are 6 feet from gold. Sometimes you're right there at the threshold and you throw your hands up in defeat and say, you know what, I give. And then someone else comes and tills that same soil. And guess what? Up comes the crude. Up comes the payday. I tell people all the time that when you look at my logo, it's the lotus flower, but I have an entity coming up out of the mud, right? I was sharing with the Verbraes today, you shake off the mud. My parents named me the right name, Lotus, because the deeper in the mud that the lotus flower grows, the more majestic, the more brilliant it is. So I challenge you to be a lotus in the mud. If you're having struggles, if you're having issues, be a lotus in the mud and still stay moving. Stay moving. See, because depression, poverty, lack cannot keep you down if you're constantly moving. You got to stay in motion. So that's where you got to be the lotus in the mud and shake off depression, shake off fear, shake off stagnation, shake off poverty, and come up, break through the mud, and be the majestic person that you were designed to be. Like Mr. Page said, you got to do it till you finish. So,
you know,
go ahead, dear.
And I'm gonna jump in and say one more thing. Another, like I said, that last 10% that was stopping me for so many years. Here's how blessings, for me have worked. Because I remember at a very low point, I was complaining to God. I'm like, I don't have this, and I know you told me I'm supposed to be doing something in this space, but I don't have this and I don't have that. And God put in my spirit, he said, use what you have. And I said, I don't have anything, because I thought what the resources would come in the form of a big check.
Right.
But it didn't. I had to learn to think 360, because it could come in the form of somebody's willing to let me use their building to put on a play. These actors are willing to work with me for little to no cost. This person doing this, so the blessings came in many unorthodox or non-traditional ways. And I'm like, So that's a big strategy for me, especially doing independent film, television, and theater, is like, I see, okay, what's available to me and what can I do with that, and then grow it. So starting with small beginnings and building from that, because for so long I'm thinking, man, I just need somebody to write me a big check so I can do this big play or big movie. But no, I found a way to get it done based on what's available to me. And then now we start to see this organic growth.
Exactly.
And it's been wonderful. And overall, I know that sometimes the things that you're seeking spiritually may not come in the form that you expect.
Right.
So you have to, again, that's where the spirit of discernment comes in. You have to be able to look around 360, because if you put it out there in the spirit and your God is faithful, know it that it's there somewhere. So you have to really spend that time to find out, where is it coming? Where is it? Because there's always a way. If you're following that mandate and you're following that will one day at a time, there's always a way that you can get it done. And that was huge for me. Because many of the blessings, even now, don't come in the way that I thought they would.
Right. And I think we've been so conditioned to look at things from more of a monetary way and say, okay, I'm gonna do this, so I should really get back $1 million. But oftentimes that's not the way God is going to bring it to fruition, because sometimes we're not prepared. And I think God kind of sets us up for a come up. So we have to go through some things to get to some things. And I believe when you really start seeking what God has intended for you, it begins to seek you as well. Antoinette Blunt Mays had a wonderful comment. She said, hi, God continual blessings to you. She says, thanks for all the great information. What's your advice for playwrights in the industry, and what steps are necessary to take?
For playwrights, let me tell you one thing. It's good, because as we can see with the way brothers are being shot down in the streets, to me, overall, I think Black people have an image problem.
Yes.
For so long, the world has had a distorted idea of who Black people were, because other people controlled our narrative. They put the images on stage. They put the images on television and film about who we were as Black people. So, and we've had hundreds of years to make up for. So now I think there's plenty of room for playwrights and directors of film and television and theater to tell very complex stories with African-American characters. Again, where do you start? Start where you're at. Just think about, what do you have, and find a way to build something with what you have. It could be going to the library and getting a few actors and using something that you wrote and doing a little small reading of it. Or when I was in Augusta, Georgia, they had an amphitheater outside on the river. We would do performances at the amphitheater. So I was so determined to do what it is that I know was in me. I was so determined to get it out. I mean, we did performances outside. So like I said, non-traditional. Look for, you'll find a way.
Yes.
It's like water, man. You hit that rock, that water will go around it, through it, or over it. Just be like water.
Yes.
And to fine tune that as a playwright, know your voice. Don't look at, oh, such and such is doing this and such is doing that. Find your voice. What's unique and what's missing is you. I'll never be Denzel, but Denzel will never be me. So
Right.
it's incumbent on me to dig deep and say, who are you and who I am and what do I have to say, and let that be reflected in my work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I would encourage playwrights to do, because they're like, oh, Tyler Perry's doing this, and I'm going to do a play like Tyler Perry. Well, Tyler Perry's already done that. So
Yes.
August Wilson did his thing, and Angela, Lorraine Hansberry did her thing. So what is your thing? Stick to your thing.
Right.
The final thing is, I would say, find your audience. Everything isn't for everybody. And
Yes.
I think our President Trump even does that. He's got his core base. Many people don't agree with him, but he knows who his base is. People complain sometimes about Tyler Perry's work, but he knows who his audience is. Martha Stewart knows who her audience is. Oprah knows who her audience is. So I'm saying the work that you create may not be for everybody. Don't try to be everything for everybody. Find that group who appreciates and value what you have, and nurture them and sustain and continue to build that relationship, and your audience will grow. Because, again, everybody doesn't like country music. Everybody doesn't like the ballet. Find your audience for your work, for your voice, and continually speak to them. And don't lose sight of that. Don't try to be everything for everybody. You may be speaking to a very specific audience, and that's okay.
I love it. And I want to take a couple of quick questions or comments right here, because we've got some phenomenal people on and they've got some amazing comments. So Angela Elton said, don't be afraid to get stuck in the mud, but continuously work your way out. Never give up. And then Rod said, use what you have. Anthony leveraged what God already gave him. Great testimony. And Dr. India White, where are you coming in from? She said, awesome. And we had another thing here. Indeed, you will find a way, because it's unequivocal. Many people have to find their voice. A lot of times people don't know their own voice. And then this is another thing, Anthony. A lot of times people don't know the very voice of God that's speaking to them. So you have to be very still sometimes, almost like, you ever see a deer in the headlights or a possum when it's running across the street and the lights flashing and it stops? Sometimes we just need to stop. We need to go on pause. You remember the cassette deck you used to be able to play years ago? And all right, we gonna come to now. When you get on your laptop and you're playing a video on YouTube and you hit that little arrow that say play and pause, hit the pause button sometimes. And just stop.
And I got a story on that as well. There was a
Now, he may have lost his signal for a brief moment, but that's okay. He will be back. And if you are just joining us, make sure you check him out for his new film. You're going to love it. It's coming up tonight, called The Commitment. And when we get ready to wrap up, we're going to leave a link for you to go ahead and check out The Commitment. I'll be doing a watch party for The Commitment tonight, which starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And welcome back. I'll be doing another show tonight, but I'll also be doing a live watch party while I'm doing my very own show. So make sure you get in and make sure you go. So with that being said, I'd like you to share what you were getting ready to share with us. Please share that. Let me see. This thing is trying to, oh, here we go. There we go. Let's try that. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me out there now?
Oh yeah. I think we can hear you. There we go. Welcome. All right.
I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button, guys. But let me tell you, I'm committed to being a lifelong student, because there's so much I don't know. And I try to keep myself in a humble position, because for so long, ego, they say pride coming before the fall, ego prevented me from growing. With that, I did a production late last year, and I won't call the name of it, but I was collaborating with some others, and it was almost a disaster. And I spent, right after that production was over, I spent some time internally. I'm like, okay, God, what is going on in me that I find myself in these situations? I had to go within. It wasn't, oh, these people this and these people that. It's like, what is going on in me that I find myself needing this lesson? Right. God had me here for a specific, for a specific reason. So I'm constantly kind of every time I finish
Right.
a project, I do somewhat of a SWOT analysis. Okay, what worked? What can I learn? How can I grow? And, you know, next time I'm out, I do better, but constantly having to learn. So when I find myself repeating some of the same mistakes, I know that there's something going on inside of me. So for me, I have to stay in God's face, because again, I don't have a lot of mentoring. I don't have a lot of, you know, my father's deceased, and you
Yes.
know, many of my elders, you know, and my mother and my family, they don't have that experience. They work job
Right.
30, 40 years, and that's what they knew how to do. So
Exactly.
I'm breaking a generational thing. I'm creating a
Right.
new generational cycle because, you know, again, I want my son to be an entrepreneur. So this is new, quote unquote, for our family, to be business owners instead of employees.
I love it. So let me say this to you folks. If you love what he's sharing, put a 6 in the comment below. And if you're gonna check out this play tonight, go ahead and put a 7 in the comment below. And if you don't know if you're gonna go, put a 7 in anyway, because that 7, God's number, may get you free so you can go tonight. So what I like that you said is that you created a new generation, so to speak, in that you're not allowing your son to succumb to old things that a lot of people call generational curses. I like to
Right.
get away from that. I don't call them generational curses, because this is what I believe. And I applaud each and every one of you for your own beliefs. Those are your rights. But this is what I believe in the essence of what you believe. And we can both believe whatever we believe. It doesn't make us right or wrong. It just makes us that we are. I believe that generational things occur because we don't step up.
Mm-hmm.
In every generation, there's an opportunity for change. And this is what I know unequivocally. The come up is in the show up. When there's a bunch of stress and mess in your generation, you have to show up in order to come up. And that may mean that you may not be in the favor of many people, but you will set a legacy so that you blaze a trail for other trailblazers to follow you. Why? Because success leaves crumbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, kind of dovetailing what you're saying, there's no clear blueprint. You know, one person can do one thing to be successful, and you can do something almost identical and not get the same results.
exactly.
Particularly being an entrepreneur, and particularly being in the arts. You know,
Yes.
be a doctor, I can go to school, get my, you know, pass the bar, you know, and I can become a doctor. But it doesn't work that way for creative people.
Exactly.
I
That's
can do
true.
exactly what Denzel did and not get that Denzel result. So for
Right.
us, there's no clear pathway to success. We as artists and building a creative enterprise, you have to kind of find it on your own. And, you know, you don't want to roll the dice with your life. So again, you need something to guide you. And for me, the definitive rock that I stand on is God, you know.
Awesome.
And it took me a while to get that, because, oh, I know everything. No, I don't. Because at a point in my life, I knew everything. And now, older and wiser, I realize how much I don't know. And I'm like, you know what? You know, how do I handle this? How do I do this? And I'm constantly, you know, seeking information about the things that I don't know how to do. And I'm okay with that. But before I would,
Yes.
one of my favorite words used to be, oh, I know.
Yes. Yes.
And hitting that brick wall, 1,000 miles an
Every
hour.
time.
Boom,
Yes.
boom, boom. I'm like, mm-mm.
Yes.
So,
You know, and I love what you said too, because the ladies from Gimski, Miss Ida and Miss Mariska Norden, they are joining us all the way from the Netherlands. And
wow.
I love their wonderful new company called Gimski. And Gimski is this. I love what they've prefaced this company on. It means the God in me sees the God in you.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's unequivocal. When you can see the God in somebody, you believe in them beyond belief. You see them for what they are becoming, not as they are, just because they don't have the type of clothes they want or they're not driving the kind of car that they would like to drive. And I got to tell you that when we see people from the premise of spiritual beings having a human experience, we can always see the God in them. And Dr. Wayne Dyer, he talked about that all the time. That it is imperative that we see people as they are becoming, not as they are in the now. Because really, in the now, guess what? They are already evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So if we only see that evolution as it's occurring, we will treat them much better. And so I just a special shout out to all the folks in the Netherlands, in Australia, especially to Merel, to Lekima. God bless you. To William Huru, all the way. He's in the UK. He's interpreting for a summit that I'm on. He's interpreting in the native language of Akan, which is for Ghana. And Takako Matadaida, she is translating in Japanese. Marel Tulakima, she's translating in French. Ida Rimpasi, she is going to be translating in Dutch or German because she speaks like 3 or 4 or 5 different languages. And of course, Miss Nordin, Mariska Nordin, she is also one of the owners of Gimski. I don't know what language she's going to translate in because she speaks multiple languages. And then we have Grace Bautista. She's going to be translating to the language of Tagalog, which is the Filipino language. And then we have an oncomer who will be translating into Spanish. So I just want to send a special shout out to them because if they can do it, folks, so can you. If they can reach across the waters and be the very best that they can be and be inspiring, just like Mr. Anthony R. Pages, so can you. And see, this is why I focus on bringing the best of the best people to my show, because this is not really about us. What it's about is seeing the God in you, because the God in me sees the God in you. I love that. I love that. So,
awesome.
Anthony, I know that you've got this wonderful play that you're going to be doing tonight, but you're always doing great things. So tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up. And I know you have another appointment. So, just share with us what you got coming up, because I'm not letting you off the show until you share it, because I already know whatever you're doing is going to be right.
Well, right now, as you can see, the back of my office, my war room, we've got about 21 projects in various stages of development. But what's really exciting for me, there are about 4 projects. Number one, there's a young lady from Zimbabwe. She wrote a play, and she's going to allow me to produce it for the Atlanta Black Theater Festival this fall.
Awesome.
So she's coming all the way from Zimbabwe to present her play, and my company is partnering with her. And we're going to create this international cultural exchange between Atlanta and Zimbabwe. So that's one. That's going to be in the fall. There was an amazing book by this attorney here in Atlanta. He wrote a book called The Faces I Have Seen.
Yes.
And we're creating a television pilot for a show called Atlanta Law. Let me tell you, it is brilliant. They said truth is stranger than fiction. We took his book and we're adapted it into a television show, and the characters are just rich and layered and tragic, and we think it'll make great television. So that's something that we're working on. COVID-19 kind of put a monkey wrench in a lot of our plans. My Vanguard play called Somewhere in Somerville. I want to do the full world premiere. I've been developing it for a number of years. I want to do the full world premiere in 2021. So at this point, we're putting all the pieces together to kind of do a regional tour over the Southeast starting in early 2021. And another piece that I think will be my Pulp Fiction. It's a film that I'm working on. It's called The Important Parts of Me. It's about a woman who has multiple personalities, and
wow,
it is heavy. So I'm hoping to get the right relationships, to get the resources to really do it well. I've tried it back in 2017 and failed, in 2018 failed. So we're gonna keep at it, because I think I need to get get it in front of the right people with the right resources, the right combination of resources. So those are a few projects that we have in development. Another area is that, I do client-driven multimedia work. So that kind of is another source of income for us as a business. So we do graphic design and packages and video sizzles and commercials, and we do posters for other movies and for plays and all that kind of stuff. So we do graphic design, multimedia, video work, and that kind of stuff. So those things kind of help fuel the other parts of the business. So I thank God for that. Again, necessity being the mother of invention. I learned those skills as a way to make the quality of my productions better, but found an opportunity that I can make money from doing those things for other people. So, but yeah, I do have to get to the theater. We're going to be running at 5 o'clock is our call time. So my team is there now, and they're active and they're really good. So I told them I was going to be a little bit late. I definitely want to thank you and all of your audience around the world for listening to me, to take the time to ask questions. And I really, Lotus and I we did an MBA program together. So it was great being in class with her for a year and a half. So thank you, Lotus, for having me on your show. I deeply appreciate it.
My pleasure.
For me, on the spiritual side and the business side too, I learned not to take anything for granted.
Yes.
Because I know early on I burned some bridges that I could not cross again. So I've learned not to take anything or anyone for granted. I appreciate the resources that God has put before me, the people that are in my life, the people who even like something on Facebook or buy a ticket to a show, or, sometimes will reach out and give me a kind word. All of it's important. I need all of that 360, man, to be everything that I need to be in this life. And I'm grateful. I see my cousin Tamika's on there. Tamika Jackson. She's from Detroit, man. It's wonderful. I love her. I'll say this before I go. We did a play early last year. She came all the way from Detroit just to see my play, and it was meaningful because I didn't grow up with that side of the family. My father went to Vietnam, and Vietnam messed him up. And even though he died in Vietnam, even though it took him 40 years to do it, I'd say, because he came back with severe PTSD, and I grew up without him. Nobody knew where he was for a number of years. So I was disconnected from the father side of my family. But, my cousin Tamika has been really wonderful about keeping me connected to that part of me. And it's truly important. So yeah, I'm glad to see her on this line. I'm glad to see her, continuing to show me love. It's very meaningful. Tamika, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. We got to get up to Detroit, me and my family, to see some more of our family up there. So
So we have so many people saying thank you. Phyllis saying thank you. Yay for Tamika. I wanted to say thank you so much, Tamika. Also, all the way from the Netherlands, Miss Ida. She says, thank you, Anthony. You are doing great. Respect. So thank you so much. And as we move on and groove on, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back as we begin to close out the show. Anthony, as always, I love you. I appreciate you. Please keep doing the great work. And yes, I'll be starting the watch party tonight for Mr. Anthony R. Page, his new play called, Anthony,
The Commitment.
Awesome.
Yep.
Welcome to the Lotus Richey Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life.
Thank you. When we're back, we had a phenomenal interview with the remarkable Anthony R. Page. He is the playwright. He's the film director and so much, much more for this new play called The Commitment. So be sure to check it out this evening. After the broadcast, I'll put something down in the link below and make sure you have the information. But check it out at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My show will be going tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But right before my show, or slightly thereafter, I'm going to start a watch party for the play called Commitment. And I encourage you and I invite you to make sure that you are a part of it. And in the meantime and in between time, I want to share with you about my show tonight coming up with the wonderful Melissa Ross. Melissa Ross is amazing. She's a coach and she also teaches people how to relieve stress through using just various forms of yoga. But also for those of us that are with our children, we're home with our children and we're really not used to it. Guess what? She's got a special surprise for the moms who are under stress. So join me tonight as my guest will be none other than Melissa Ross at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the wonderful city of Washington, D.C. So having said that, I want to thank each and every one of you for streaming in all the way from Nigeria, Africa, Japan, the Netherlands, Australia, Chicago, Texas, and all around the world. I want to thank you, and especially excellent thumbs up for our folks out of Atlanta and right here in the United States of America. God bless you, and God bless that all you do. And also, if you need one-on-one coaching for your business or for your personal life, don't hesitate to reach out to me at lotusignite@gmail.com, and we'll set up a wonderful discovery meeting with you. And we will talk about what's going on in your business or in your personal life, what might be holding you back. And guess what? For the entrepreneurs on here, if you're struggling and if you can't get your business off the ground, you don't have any visual things going on platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or even just any platform that you're not on and want to get on, I have a team and we're here to help you make your presence known and make your presence felt. And we can help you build the confidence and build the expansion that you need to embrace more revenue. So make sure you get at me at lotusignite@gmail.com and we'll help you go from zero to hero. So bless you. I'll see you back tonight with my wonderful guest, Melissa Ross, at the 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until we meet again, be blessed. And remember, ignite and take flight. See ya.
Welcome to the Lotus Richey Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life.